you're a lad and you've been training hard for years, but you still feel like you haven't achieved your dream physique, then this video is for you. You understand calories, you understand that you need to train hard, you need to eat protein, yet you still look the exact same. And you review your progress every 6 months and you might see a little bit, but ultimately you feel like you're just not making enough progress and you can't sustain staying in really, really good shape. And what I want you to understand is that you need to stop trying to build a new body while remaining the exact same person, okay? This is what this all comes down to, and I've literally mapped out everything from head to toe as to what makes the difference between someone who walks around having said that they have achieved their dream physique in comparison to just yo-yoing, going up and down, losing some fat, putting on too much fat, okay, losing muscle, building some more muscle in comparison to just being able to say, do you know what, I have achieved my dream physique, right? And the fundamental is at the end of this video. So if your, dopamine brain rotted video can last until that long, then we are going to cover absolutely everything that literally separates this guy, okay, this out of shape guy, low confidence, in the gym, training hard 6 times a week, in comparison to this guy, where I can confidently say I have achieved my dream physique at 21 years old. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Now, first thing that you've got to understand is this doesn't just, impact your physique. This is all areas of your life. This is your confidence, this is your discipline, this is your ability to say no more and say yes less. This is your general purpose day to day, okay? If you don't have a solidified purpose as a young individual, as a male, you are going to seek distraction. And distraction is one of the biggest things that sabotages your physique, right? So it's important that you actually stick to a physique goal and you do everything that I'm about to speak about in this video. And then you will notice not only does your physique level up, but your life levels up alongside it, okay? From this guy, bloated, chud lord, chud max, okay, bad skin, low self-confidence, bad habits, no discipline, in comparison to this guy being fully confident in my own skin and the ability to say that I've achieved my dream physique at 21 years old. And I didn't really, learn anything special. I didn't unlock some magic program. I'm not going to go into calories in, calories out. I'm not going to go into specific exercises. If you're here for that, then click away from this video. This is about identity. This is about who you need to become in order to achieve your dream physique, okay? And that is truly what it comes down to. So yeah, if you're looking for specific exercises, go and watch some more Instagram reels. You know that hasn't helped you out so far. Targeting the short head of your bicep even more, it gets you nowhere, okay? You need to change who you are and the standards that you hold yourself to and how that is going to work around your lifestyle, because every person is different, okay? Now, why would you listen to me, right? What are my fundamentals? What are my stats, okay? Why do I know game? Well, not only have I transformed dozens of men who have ultimately come to me in the exact same position that you're probably in, which is knowing how to train, knowing that you need to eat protein, knowing that you need to do cardio, but still you look mid. You're skinny fat, just like Tom here, okay, who went from skinny fat to photo shoot ready in 5 months, more muscle, more lean. Or you're George, who had been training for years and who could just never get a 6-pack fully in place. You just haven't ever fully quite got to your dream physique, but you feel like you're near. That is all of these lads, okay, and I've obviously transformed them from that mid-level physique in order to achieve then their dream physique, right? Or take Liam for an example, who literally got those fundamentals in place, was a relatively new gym goer, and within just 6 weeks has got, toned abs, bigger chest, bigger shoulders. Okay, that's a 6-week transformation, and that is key to the fundamentals that I'm about to speak about in this video, okay? So, number one, and arguably one of the most important things here, is the self-sabotage trap. Okay, this is what I struggled with for years that kept me looking like the out-of-shape bloke here, okay, even while I was training, probably more than I train now. Okay, the self-sabotage trap. So, how does this work? Number one is it starts with a trigger, right? You're going to be triggered lots of times within your life, which is going to cause stress, anxiety, negative feelings, basically, right? Whether that is a huge work project, uni project, or something like that with a deadline that's causing you to feel stressed out, or whether that's just anger in general. You fell out with your family, you fell out with your partner, so on and so forth. Or it could be something like social events, going out down to the pub with your mate, or it could be a multitude of different sort of emotions: fear, loneliness, guilt, remorse, okay, a bunch of things that we don't really want to be feeling. That is going to trigger something inside of you, okay? For me, my personal example, it would often be social events, okay? Going out, all I ever knew when I was younger was go out, get super, super drunk and eat some shit food after it, and that is the normal balance for the weekend, and that kept me stuck trying to catch up every single week, even while I was in the gym. And then that leads into an escape, right? And that is going to be your escape of choice, or sort of a bunch of them added on top of each other, right? Whether that's drinking, whether that's, something like vaping, come on bro, it's 2026, or takeaway food. This is a pretty gnarly image, some kebab. Or something like lust, right? Seeking validation from females, okay? You probably know right now what is the main thing that is your escape. What is the bad habit that is costing you progress in the gym? Is it as simple as staying up in the evenings after a full day of work, scrolling on your phone to try and get some of that free time back, which then affects your recovery, which then means that your muscle isn't growing as fast as you want to be growing, okay? Escape is huge, right? And that leads into relief. And relief is an illusion, because ultimately you have used these bad vices that will get you nowhere with your physique in order to feel a illusion, a sense of relief, okay? So temporarily you drank the beer that gave you a bit more confidence and meant that you could forget about the bad week you had, but ultimately it's just going to set you back even further. Or you went out to the club with chasing after girls, or skipped the gym because of that. And it gave you this false, sort of illusion of relief, right? And then this, unfortunately, leads into the shame factor, okay? Feelings of guilt, okay? When you understood that, fuck, I had one too many beers on the weekend, or fuck, I had that cheat meal, that refeed meal that definitely didn't count because you didn't need it, just because you're feeling a bit flat in your diet phase. Right, it's all going to be on a scale of how sort of elite you already are with your physique development, okay? And the lads that I'm speaking to here, realistically, you're not going to be going out to the pub all of the time and smashing drinks and, laying in all day, but it's just these small habits that stack up: the scrolling on your phone, the having the unnecessary cheat meal, the skipping the gym sessions, right? And that leads into the feeling of shame. And the problem is guilt ties into this hugely. You had the cheat meal, you didn't deserve it, and now you feel guilty. Or you went out and you had some beers, you skipped your cardio, and now you feel guilty. The problem with that is the fact that guilt is one of the lowest emotional frequencies that you can feel. And we want to avoid low emotional frequency as much as possible in our life. That is key, okay? So guilt, as you can see here, is literally like second to lowest, okay? Just above shame, and shame could tie into guilt as well. That puts you on a low end of frequency. I'm not one of those frequency fucking star signs people, but this is legitimately true, because when you have that feeling of guilt, it then ties back into just ultimately feeling stressed out, anxious, dreadful, remorse, so on and so forth, which ties directly back into the trigger. So, in summary, you have worked hard within the week, okay? At the back end of the week, you feel like you've had a really hard week at work, your manager's shouting at you and you get triggered, you feel angry. So on the Friday night, instead of doing what you know you need to be doing, which is your gym session, your cardio, your steps, you then decide to have a pizza and maybe a couple of beers with your mates because they invited you out. You were triggered. You then went towards the escape, which gives you that false sense of illusion of relief, which makes you feel better temporarily, but takes away from your goals in the long run. Bearing in mind, humans are always seeking immediate response, immediate positive feedback. So when you give that illusion of the immediate positive feedback, you then don't understand that it's going to be taking away from your goals months and months down the line, and that is why you stay out of shape, which then leads into the feelings of shame, which triggers guilt, which is one of the lowest frequency emotions, which then causes you to feel even more stressed out, and you stay in this vicious cycle. This was a cycle that I was stuck in for years and years and years. And it was lots of different things, lots of different vices, lots of different feelings of relief into shame and guilt, and then the trigger going again. But as soon as you break out of this cycle, and as soon as you understand that these things will never directly benefit you whatsoever, and you simply need to avoid the triggers as much as possible, which then means that you can avoid the escape and actually give yourself a true sense of relief, which would ultimately be through sticking to the plan. Physique development is one of the single easiest ways to consistently feel positive day to day within your life. Initially, it can feel a little bit boring doing the cardio, going to the gym, not going to the social events, not drinking beer whenever you want to drink beer. But day to day, if you stick to it for months, you will realize that you actually feel better in comparison to this false sense of relief, this cycle that basically keeps you stuck feeling crap and then, convincing yourself that you feel all right. Okay. So it is vital that you recognize this cycle, recognize your habits, and break out of it as soon as possible, which will then ultimately lead to you being able to stick to the plan for longer. And one of the fundamentals of developing your physique is actually sticking to the plan for a long period of time. That is when your body changes, not when you keep self-sabotaging yourself. And then this leads into the balance trap. This is absolutely huge, okay? This is another thing that I struggle with for years and years and years. At the end of the day, you have been brought up in the UK or you've been brought up in Europe. Hell, even if you're from America, this generation, this world views balance as something that basically keeps you average. It is literally designed to keep you average, okay? So this guy was still just as obsessed with the gym. He was watching the Jay Cutler bodybuilding videos. He loves the thought of being in the best shape of his life. But he was convinced that he needed to have balance, okay? So this meant cheat meals when he felt like he deserved it, which was probably every weekend, because your body's going to tell you that you deserve some shit food most of the time when inevitably you don't. I was convincing myself that alcohol was absolutely fine because you're told that going out to the pub and drinking and socialising with your friends is what you're meant to do to live a fulfilling life. And then I would tell myself that I could have days off because I was tired or because, I didn't feel like going to the gym. It's fine to have a day off, right? That's balance. Skipping your cardio, that ties into that as well. Half-assing your sessions. Oh, I've had a long day at work. I'll just do a light session today. No actual plan in place, okay? Why would you follow a plan? That's too much, right? That's too restrictive, you need to have balance in life. No, that keeps you stuck. Random food, no direct tracking of macros, and just trying to, hit my protein within the day. I'm just going to eat a bunch of chicken and then I'll have some toast with honey on the side. That was legit one of the main things that kept me out of shape, right? Just saying, I'll just get some protein in and I'll worry about all the rest later, okay? And then importantly, as a routine based off of emotions, this links directly back to the self-sabotage trap, okay? My routine was based off of how I felt for that day. If I woke up and I watch a couple David Goggins motivational edits and I was feeling gassed, I was feeling motivated, then maybe I'd have a pretty successful day. Maybe that day I'd eat some clean food, I'd eat the chicken, I'd do some cardio, I'd train hard in the gym and I'd do my steps. But if I woke up the other day and I felt bad because, someone was pissing me off, or I felt self-conscious or low confidence, then it would lead into the self-sabotage trap where instead of basing my routine off of systems and discipline, it was based off of emotion, which would lead to me repeating that cycle back again, okay? So that's what the average, sort of balance looks like, particularly in the UK, and that will keep you looking mid as fuck. As soon as you realise that, as soon as you break out of that and realise you actually need to work really hard and adopt the identity of someone who stays in shape, that is when you get in some savage shape, okay? And this is what actual balance looks like if you want to achieve a genuine dream level physique, as in a good amount of muscle and nice and lean. It is not easy, okay? If it was easy, everyone would be in good shape, and there isn't many people that are actually in good shape nowadays. You just see a lot of it on social media, and they are doing exactly everything that I speak about in this video, particularly the thing that I mentioned at the end. So actual balance looks like this. Off-plan meals when justified. Notice how I haven't said cheat meals here, I've said off-plan meals, okay? There is a big difference in between a pizza and two sides, which is 2,000, 3,000 calories, which is ultimately binging, which a lot of you boys are doing, thinking that it's just a cheat meal to refeed yourself, in comparison to an off-plan meal, which could be macro matched, swapping out the last 2 meals of the day, taking the macros, probably 30 grams of fat, 100 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of protein, and having a nice steak with some chips, with some veg on the side, or homemade burgers with some beef mince and some nicer sauce, maybe some cheese in there, okay? And actually making sure that it is structured within, staying within your calories, maybe a little bit over if you feel like you can afford it, and understanding it's not just a cheat meal and you're only having it when it is justified. When you have completed a set physique development phase, when you have trained very, very hard and stayed within a meal plan for weeks, if not months, okay? Alcohol on special occasions, absolutely fine. If you can legitimately say to yourself, I'm going to remember this day for the rest of my life, then sound. Go ahead, drink some alcohol if you really think that's that's going to tickle your fancy. Keep it nice and controlled, okay? Again, there's a big difference between having 10 beers, waking up feeling like crap and ordering some shit food in comparison to having some spirits with some mixers, on a legitimately special social occasion where all of your mates are gathered together, or you're at a wedding, or you're celebrating a victory with your family and friends. Okay, it doesn't just have to be your mates have invited you down to the pub, let's have some beers. That will keep you looking like this guy. Okay, cardio is a non-negotiable, progressive overload every single session, a structured plan that I actually follow, and meal plan or macro tracking, as well as earned holidays and routine based off of discipline. Now, when it comes down to earned holidays, this is the approach that I love to take. I am going to stay locked in the majority of my weeks, the majority of my months, the majority of my life. If you follow a structure where you can then say to yourself, okay, I'm actually going to book away a weekend away, I'm going to book a holiday. And at that point, I can fully say to myself, right, do you know what? You do need to live your life a little bit. Let's go away for a week. Let's not follow a plan. Let's eat some nice food. Let's stay relatively structured. Let's keep some steps in there. Let's keep some hydration in there. But we can enjoy a week away from the plan, and that will make your life so much easier because you can actually look forward to these weekends away, these holidays, as a reward in comparison to just consistently giving it to yourself whenever you feel emotional and you feel like you deserve the balance, okay? And again, that directly ties into a routine being based off of discipline, which means even on my worst days, I'm not going to let my emotions trigger the self-sabotage cycle, okay? Instead, I'm going to base my routine off of discipline, which means that I do the non-negotiable habits that I need to do in order to get me in shape, such as the cardio, the steps, following the meal plan, etc., regardless of how I feel. That is vital. The sooner you do that, the better. The sooner you unlock that skill, which is a skill that ultimately you have to master, the ability to say, fuck, I've had one of the worst days of my life, but I'm still going to jump on the spin bike. I'm still going to go and train legs. That is when you actually begin to look elite. And then elite level standards, right? Around the time where I was competing, maybe not so manageable to uphold for most individuals around your lifestyle, but ultimately understanding that this will drive the best results, okay? And you don't have to necessarily live like a bodybuilder in order to achieve your dream physique. And again, it's all going to be dependent on perspective and your scale. If your dream physique looks a little something like this, then at the end of the day, you can have more flexibility. But I'm speaking to the lads who want to look more like these two guys here. And understanding if you want to shortcut that, then ultimately no off-plan meals, only scheduled refeeds when your body legitimately needs it so that you don't have to worry about the food noise and eating some random bullshit food. No alcohol, no bad vices that are ultimately never going to positively impact you. No days off. Cardio is a non-negotiable, progressive overload every single session, a structured plan that you follow religiously, a meal plan, every gram of food weighed down to the T, and time off when the goal has been achieved, okay? And this is important. If you legitimately want to speed run, getting to your dream physique, then you've got to understand you can't have that balance, okay? You just can't have it. You could be this guy who works towards it slowly and maintains it and has a little element of balance, but if you legitimately want to speed run it, then it's going to look more like this, okay? And then a routine based off of discipline and systems. Now, I've put systems here as well as discipline because this is where, working with a coach would directly tie into that. You're going to have that accountability. You're going to have that second pair of eyes watching over you, which means even on your absolute hardest days where ultimately, getting lean is super, super hard, you have someone in your corner in order to say, no, we need to stay on track. This is what we're going to do if you're feeling truly, truly dreadful. This is how we're going to manage it, so on and so forth, okay? Now, this leads directly into habit stacking. One of the most overpowered tools in order to achieve your dream physique is habit stacking. If only I had learned about this earlier, I would have achieved my dream physique within 3 years instead of 5 years. Okay, this is vital. Now, at the top of this sort of explanation is a dog with a treat. Okay, you've got to notice that a dog will learn how to do something very, very quickly when you give it a treat. Why is that? When a dog eats a treat, it is going to release basically happy hormones in its head, which makes it feel good. And we are the exact same as dogs. It's just we have the ability to dive into the bag of treats whenever we want, and a dog doesn't, okay? If it is a well-trained dog, it only gets given the treats when it has done something which means that it deserves the treats, okay? So treats in the modern world would be the same as an actual treat, right? Food. You have the ability to go into the snack cupboard whenever you want. You have the ability to go on Uber Eats whenever you want and give yourself that shit food when you're having a bad day, okay? But the difference is you need to actually give yourself these things when you have actually earned it, and you need to associate these things with positive tasks that are going to drive towards your goals, okay? So starting on the left side, this is actually, this is quite funny. So this is me and my client, Tom, okay? So the guy that we saw over here, who went from skinny fat to photo shoot ready in just 5 months with me. It's the exact same guy, okay? When we were on holiday together a few years ago, back before I deployed any of these systems or anything that I'm speaking about in this video. Okay, this is me and him. As you can see here, yeah, you can tell that I go to the gym. I have the big arms, I have the big chest, the big shoulders, but my face was fat. I hated how I look. No six pack to be seen. You couldn't tell that I, had lifted weights as soon as I put some clothes on because I just looked like a fat mess. And I genuinely just hated myself and I hated my lifestyle. And this all came down to my low standards. The fact that I didn't adopt the identity of someone who actually stays in elite level shape, okay? And now, what were the sort of habit stacking that I was doing back then without knowing the bad habits? So ultimately, these are your bad habits, right? Laying in bed, till 10, 11 o'clock, just laying there, scrolling on your phone, drinking alcohol, doom scrolling, shit food, takeaway food, snacks, or even lust again. Lust ties directly into this as well. Vaping, nicotine, drinking, and that will keep you stuck, okay? So right now, you only know how to be associated with bad habits because bad habits are so much more accessible than good habits, okay? They feel funner sooner. You take a hit on a vape, it feels great. You eat some shit food, it feels great. You laying in bed, you feel great, you're comfortable, okay? But all of these things are doing exactly that. They are keeping you comfortable, and being comfortable won't get you your dream physique, okay? I cannot emphasize that enough. Being comfortable is the exact thing that is keeping you stuck, right? So all of these bad habits, little did I know, were just the things that were holding me back, okay? So my brain was addicted to the only things that I knew that would sort of make me feel happy, which was probably a shit ton of caffeine and a gym session, yeah, sure. But outside of that, the 22 hours outside of the gym, the beer, the nicotine, the laying in bed, the doom scrolling, the shit food, the cheat meals, all of the things that will mean that you can't achieve your dream physique, right? So what do you actually need to do to be addicted to the right things that means that you can then achieve your dream physique? This is me now, okay? Productivity maxing to the max, right? And as soon as I realized that I could habit stack in a positive way in order to mean that I could get addicted to the things that were going to mean that I could achieve my dream physique, my dream life, that was when my physique majorly pivoted. That was when my quality of life majorly increased. So as for a perfect example, as you can see here, you've got some caffeine, ultimately something that you can get addicted to, but it's probably not going to negatively impact you anywhere near as much as alcohol, shit food, etc. You've got work, okay? You've got going to the gym and training really hard. You've got waking up on time at a good hour. You've got, being productive, working hard. And the funny thing is, like I said, this is me and my client Tom, okay? Literally, both of these photos, we were both addicted to the bad habits. When Tom stepped into Project Relentless, okay, my coaching project, I used this exact protocol, habit stacking, with Tom, which then meant he could go fly out to Marbella and do a photo shoot with me in the best shape of his life. He achieved his dream physique in just 5 months, okay? And again, that could look like eating some healthy food as well. I'll get into this shortly, how you can actually apply it into your life. But just for a quick example for how it works with Tom from skinny fat to photo shoot ready in just 5 months, right? From, as you can see here, the beers, the shit food, the random food, the butter on the toast, the bacon, the eggs, the toast, the butter, all probably things that you're still doing, thinking it's fine just because you're hitting your protein, which is what keeps you looking like this guy instead of this guy. This is how we sort it. So phase 1, break average, and this ties directly into habit stacking. This is where we destroy autopilot, reset your standards, and we do a full lifestyle audit. And this is what I recommend you directly go and do this week, not next week when you feel ready, this week. Audit your habits. What is it that's holding you back? Is it your screen time? Is it bad food? Is it weekend habits, going out and drinking? Is it sleep? Okay. As you can see here, we literally took a direct look into what his days looked like in terms of eating, drinking on the weekend. Was he training? What wasn't he doing, etc. And then from there, you need to eliminate your distractions, okay? And the best way to do this is find 3 things that you know are taken away from your dream physique, whether that's doom scrolling, which affects your recovery, whether that's unnecessary cheat meals, which puts you in a binging cycle, or whether that's just simply not having high enough standards to do the cardio, the steps, the training, and knock off 1 per week until they're all fully killed off, until you have no longer any bad habits that are going to get in the way of you achieving your dream physique, okay? And that's exactly what we did with Tom. And we got the meal plan structured in. We said, fuck going out all the time on the weekends. Let's schedule it in when we, actually feel like we've deserved it. And let's work towards achieving your dream physique, okay? And then that pairs directly into building structure that you can actually follow. Okay, so don't just go from eating cheat meals all the time, not following a meal plan, to chicken and rice 6 times a day. That will never work. You need to slowly build it up. Okay, so instead of having whatever you want for the day, you're going to start for the first week by having a set breakfast every day, 3 eggs and some egg whites. Okay, and then the week after that, once you've done that consistently, you're then going to have a set lunch, some chicken breasts and a bag of microwavable rice. Okay, and you need to slowly build that structure in order for it to actually be realistic around your lifestyle, and then you will find you are locked the fuck in. And then some identity work. I'm not average anymore, okay? And this directly ties into what I'm about to say at the end of this video, that is the most important part. Before you build your body, we break the habits that are keeping you stuck. This ties directly into stopping trying to build a body, okay, while remaining the exact same person, because that has never worked for anyone, right? And then the 12-week body recomposition, phase 2, which was discipline on command, to mean that you had non-negotiable routines, accountability systems, etc. And then we went into the building phase, and ultimately he got his dream physique, okay? And he now stays in the best shape of his life because of all the systems that we put in place. But how can you directly tie this into your lifestyle? How to actually apply habit stacking? What is habit stacking? So for a quick example, if you really struggle staying on top of your cardio because it is some boring, mundane thing, why not do the cardio and then do something really nice after your cardio that is then going to associate the cardio with something nice. For an example, I go on the spin bike for half an hour every day because I know that that is going to keep my body fat nice and low, that's going to keep my heart health in check, that is going to keep my metabolism firing, fat oxidation, etc. After that spin bike session, I will sit down and have my favourite meal of the day, cream of rice, Perform Whey, shout out to Perform. And then that means as soon as I've done that cardio, I release dopamine in my brain from eating that meal. That dopamine then gets associated to doing the hard task, which is cardio. You then get addicted to doing cardio. It really is that simple, okay? Or for another example, for the gym itself, if you're struggling to get to the gym, if you find the gym kind of fucking boring, make your whole routine around the gym as fun as possible. Get yourself a solid pre-workout, get some fucking tunes on in the car, drive, enjoy the drive, get yourself to the gym, put your favorite music on in the gym. Okay, as soon as you associate these sort of outside sources of dopamine with the gym itself, the sooner it makes the gym more addictive. You're going to think, fuck, if I don't go to the gym today, I don't get to take a shit ton of caffeine, a shit ton of beta-alanine, feel that fun, tingly feeling that means that you're ready for the gym. And then you slowly realise, shit, I'm getting addicted to the gym here. Okay, so habit stacking in the most productive way is great. The same way, whenever I drink a black coffee, I know it is time for me to lock in and do some work. Okay, I've associated caffeine, black coffee with doing work, which makes the boring task of work so much easier to do. And the general mental framework that breaks behaviour change down into 3 milestone phases. You need to do 3 days of initiation. Okay, so getting the better breakfast in place or getting that meal after the cardio in place. 3 weeks of consistently doing that, and then 3 months of integration. Okay, this is where it actually becomes solidified as a habit. In order to actually build a habit, you often have to do something for 16 weeks or more in order to fully solidify it into your brain, and habit stacking will make that journey a lot easier. Now, the last and most important part, okay, this is genuinely what all of this comes down to, and this is something that I wish I'd realised sooner, right? And that is identity. Identity is absolutely everything, okay? And we're going to work up a pyramid here. Now, first, here's an example. You have to do something. Edgy gym edits. Oh, I'm depressed. I'm going to go to the gym. I have to train. My life is miserable. The gym's so hard, but I'm locked in, so it doesn't fucking matter. The individuals who live their life like that, they're the ones who are still going down to the pub. They're the ones who say, oh, I'm going to lock in properly next week. They're the ones who make fuck all progress. You've got to understand, we get to choose to achieve our dream level physique, okay? We get to choose to monitor how much food we eat. We get to choose to train as hard as we fucking can. Because ultimately, that means that we then get to look like this fucking guy right here, okay? And that's cooler than anything in the world. That's why you want to work towards it. And trust me, the pros of looking like this are fucking worth being locked in with a good routine, right? So in comparison to making the gym this miserable thing that your brain, doesn't want to associate itself with, that you're forcing yourself to do it, make that switch to the identity of being the type of person. It's just who I am. This is at the top of the pyramid. It is now just who I am in order to stay in shape and build my business and be a good person, because it's just who I am. I'm not battling with it anymore. I'm not battling with having to feel balanced or having to do the usual things that people want you to do. Just be the guy who stays on his plan 24/7, who preps his meals and brings them with him on holiday if he has to. just be that guy. Again, it depends on perspective and standard, but you need to understand it has got to be just who you are. You need to adopt that identity, okay? So let's work from the bottom up. So if you're anything like this guy, then fucking hell, yeah, I advise you take all of this advice and put it on board as soon as possible. So I'm going to lock in on Monday. I need balance. I can't do this. I don't have good genetics. My life gets in the way. I'm too busy with work. I don't have the time. I want to be like my friends. Someone will come and save me, surely, right? Someone will come and help me eventually. Or I need to be motivated enough to start. Bro, motivation is bullshit. Oh my God, it is just a perk that will prop up here and there in order to give you a little boost. It means nothing if you actually want to achieve your dream physique. And then working your way up a little bit better, I will start when I'm ready. At least you're aware that you need to start, but again, waiting to be ready will never save you. I need to learn first. This is for the people who are watching all of the workout videos in the world, trying to find the most optimal split. Realistically, if you just crack on with working hard, you'll figure it out sooner in comparison to trying to optimize everything. I need the perfect split. Do I cut or bulk? Okay, all of these DMs that I get, you are basically just giving yourself an excuse. You're telling your brain, I need this in order to finally achieve my physique. I need the perfect split. I need the perfect phase. When realistically, you just need the 22 hours outside of the gym to actually look like you care about your physique. And you need to adopt the identity of someone who doesn't give a shit about a split, but he just works hard regardless and does the things that ultimately you probably know you need to be doing, because there is more information out there than ever. But you just need to apply it, okay, consistently over a long period of time. And then working your way up a bit more. I can do it, I will do it, I must do it. The savages who actually go out there and just get it done. But ultimately it's about putting that into practice, right? And then just above that is the acceptance of you choose to do this. This is productive. This directly impacts your life in only positive ways. Physique development will only be productive for you. It will only make you feel better. Just because it's boring, just because it's not as satisfactory as the beer, the takeaway food, does not mean that in the long run it will not make you feel more positive overall. This makes me feel good, okay? And then saying ultimately it's just who I am. I prep my meals and bring them on holiday with me because I know full well staying structured is going to mean that I win my days. I feel good. I can have an off-plan meal in the evening if I want to because I was structured enough. I stay in the best shape of my life, so I never have to worry about feeling self-conscious, feeling like shit, and I get to look fucking great. And that means that my lifestyle, my standards are in the position where I am just that guy. It is really that simple. You need to be that guy. And understand, no pressure, no diamonds. Physique development requires sacrifice. It requires hard work. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you accept that it is going to be hard, but you realise that doing these things and building the habits and habit stacking and breaking out of the self-sabotage loop, you literally ultimately eventually hit this golden discovery of, this is just my lifestyle now. This is how I function. This is how I work. I've ingrained the habits and that makes me feel great. And then once you do all of that, you achieve your dream physique without a doubt, unless you're eating like a retard, which I doubt you will, because obviously there's enough information out there for you to know what you need to be doing, okay? You know what to do, but you are relying on motivation to do it. That will get you absolutely nowhere, bro. And again, this is a trap that I've stayed in for months, if not years. Waiting for someone to save me, waiting for that one perfect Instagram reel that was going to, make me feel motivated enough in order to mean that I go and act on my goals. No, bro, you just need to do it. You need to live to the standards that actually means that you achieve a dream level physique, okay? It's pretty much as simple as that, boys. If you found that video helpful, then feel free to drop a like, subscribe, or comment any questions, because at the end of the day, this is absolutely free game. This is the stuff they don't talk about on social media. It's not the pretty, do this bicep exercise, do this exercise for a big 3D chest. This is the fundamentals. This is your identity. This is who you are. This is who you need to become in order to achieve your dream physique, okay? And it's not as fancy, it's not as pretty, it's more hard, it's gritty. But this is what changes you. This is what actually means you can achieve your dream fucking physique, right? And it's super fundamental. Of course, any questions, please let me know. Other than that, feel free to drop my Instagram a follow at SBFit with 3 T's. I post on there all the time, and I'm more than happy to break down how this would look like for you as an individual if you ever want to send me a message. But at the end of the day, go ahead, go and apply this, and you'll notice a few months down the line, you have seen more progress than you ever have in your life, okay? Thank you very much. Any questions, let me know. Be relentless, be that fucking guy, and you will achieve all of your dreams and your goals.